So today, we're diving into a story that's unfolding right at the intersection of lines of code and the front lines of conflict. We're looking at this new and frankly incredibly powerful alliance between big tech and the military, and how it could completely change the future of war as we know it. Okay, I want you to imagine something. Let's say, just a few weeks ago, on January 3rd, 2026, the US military pulls off this lightning-fast operation. It's incredibly precise, super effective, and it's all powered by artificial intelligence. And that brings us to the big, heavy question we're tackling today. Was the AI that guided this mission, was it built by a company like Google? The mission was codenamed Operation Absolute Resolve. We're talking over 150 aircraft, a whole series of precision strikes, and it all ends with the capture of Venezuela's head of state. I mean, talk about a show of overwhelming tech power. But how on earth did we get to a point where a company you use to check your email might be at the very heart of an operation like this?
All right, Section 1, a smart war. To figure this out, we really need to investigate how this new kind of smart war even became possible.
You see, the answer doesn't start on some battlefield. It starts inside the headquarters of Google, with a promise they made all the way back in 2018. So let's take a look at what that original promise actually was, because it really did set the stage for everything that came next. So, in 2018, Google publishes what they called their AI principles. You can think of it like their constitution for artificial intelligence. Now, this wasn't just some PR fluff. It came after thousands of Google's own employees publicly protested the company's work on a military project called Maven, which was all about using AI to analyze drone footage. So these principles were Google's way of saying, okay, we hear you, we're going to use AI for good. The first part laid out these 7 really ambitious goals. The AI they built would be socially beneficial, safe, accountable. It was this grand vision of AI as a tool for human progress, not a weapon of war. But here's where it gets really interesting. The second part, the 4 things they promised that they would never do. And just look at those clear red lines. Google explicitly said, we will not develop AI for weapons or for surveillance that violates international norms. I mean, these were supposed to be hard and fast rules, or so we thought. Because a promise that was made so publicly in 2018, well, it would be quietly rewritten, paving the way for a very, very different future. Let's just walk through this timeline to see how it all unfolded. After the 2018 principles, things were pretty quiet for a while. But by 2025, the whole world had changed. A new Trump administration started putting massive pressure on big tech to support national security, basically framing it as a patriotic duty. And when you combine that with the temptation of huge, multi-billion-dollar government contracts, the pressure was immense. Later that same year, Google quietly amended its principles. And boom, just a few months later, our story begins with Operation Absolute Resolve. Just take a look at this. On the left, you've got the 2018 principles. On the right, the 2025 update. The specific prohibitions against weapons and surveillance, they're just gone. The red lines they drew so clearly, poof, erased. Now, of course, a change this big did not go unnoticed. Human rights groups like Amnesty International immediately sounded the alarm, calling it a dangerous precedent. They warned that taking away these guardrails could have absolutely devastating consequences in the real world. And this is so crucial, because this wasn't just a Google story. It signaled an industry-wide shift, creating a brand new and incredibly powerful AI military alliance. And this table, wow, it really lays it all out. Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, Anthropic, the biggest names in AI are now all deeply, deeply embedded with the Department of Defense. I mean, look at OpenAI, a company that once banned military use, now holding a contract for warfighting. It's a total 180, and it's driven by this mix of intense political pressure and the undeniable lure of massive defense budgets. The ethical lines haven't just been blurred, they've been completely redrawn across the entire industry. And the scale of this partnership is just staggering. This number you're seeing, $9 billion, that's the value of a single cloud contract called the Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability, or JWCC. It's shared by Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, and it provides the basic digital backbone for the entire U.S. military. And it gets even more direct than that. In late 2025, the Pentagon launched this platform called GenAI.mil. The whole idea was to put AI tools directly into the hands of soldiers. And guess what? The very first AI model they plugged in as a core tool was Google's Gemini, rolled out to all 3 million military and civilian personnel. So, This leads us to the final and maybe the most personal part of this story. Because the power fueling this new alliance, it has to come from somewhere. It comes from data. Your data. As these military partnerships have grown, so have government requests for user data. Just look at this chart. It shows the number of user accounts that Google received government requests for. You can see a clear, steady upward climb, with over 500,000 accounts targeted in just the first half of 2025 alone. So you're probably wondering, how does this even happen? Well, it's basically a three-step process. First, US agencies use these really powerful laws to demand your data. Second, the tech companies, they have to comply. It's the law. But here's the kicker. Step 3. The government can issue a gag order, which means the company is legally forbidden from ever telling you it happened. It's a secret, totally legal process. Now, this is where things get really fascinating. When you put the US system side by side with the Chinese system, both use national laws to force companies to hand over data. Both justify it under the very same banner of national security. The main difference seems to be the language. The US calls it a partnership, while China calls it direct control. But you have to admit, the structural similarity there is, well, it's hard to ignore. And that really boils down to this core concern, right? The worry is that the everyday things you search for, the questions you ask an AI, the emails you send, all of that data risks becoming just one tiny fragment of a nation's intelligence apparatus, feeding a system you may never even see or understand. Which leaves us with this one final, massive question to think about. When the lines between a private tech company and a nation's military completely dissolve, who is left to write the ethical rules? And maybe more importantly, who holds them accountable?